The Covert Standard.
Shit, yeah. 3%ers right here.
You see, you just gotta elevate your lifestyle. Shit, I don't like asking for directions. I do love ass and titties, though, all day long. Hello, and welcome to Covert Standard. You are now tuning in, listening to the world's greatest. I tried this before. Every time I try to do it, I just feel bad about saying it.
What?
The world's greatest podcast show ever created in the galaxy of mankind. Does that sound cool?
No.
I don't think that sounds cool at all.
No, that was fucking weird, man.
I'm trying something different here, okay? Yes, the world is enormous. Anyways, thank you for tuning into the Covert Standard. I am your host, Nitro Panda. I am sitting here with the latest, greatest Dave Cabal from Cabal USA, and we have a special guest on the show right now with us, Miguel. What's up, Miguel?
What's up?
You nervous?
I'm not.
Do you like this?
You
like
staring
that?
At you. You're making me nervous.
I'm making you nervous? I make people nervous. That's usually what happens.
Quit rubbing your titties, man.
Rubbing my titties like they condom. That stupid fucking song that you always get me stuck in my head. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. This is episode number 11 coming to you on this podcast. Episode 10 just dropped not too recently, and I'm sure you guys are falling in love with that just as much as I am as well. I just wanted to go ahead and give a big shout out to all of our fans out there, because right now we broke motherfucking 900, bro. We're almost at the 1,000 mark.
Yeah.
That's a big number. That's a big number for anywhere. That's actually one of the hardest gaps to go is from 100 to 1,000. We're about to hit our next one from going to 1,000 to 10,000. We'll see what we do. Just want to give a big shout out to you. This is amazing. I love every single one of you guys, and we've gotten so much great feedback. A lot of people from all over the world actually listen to the podcast. I mean, we had one guy we talked to live on Instagram from Colombia. And he loves everything about it. It's just amazing, man. It's a really good feeling that people are feeling the message that we're putting out there, and just the humor and comedy, and just basically a group of guys that's just like hanging out with each other. And that's like the best part about it. With that being said, we do have some sponsors that help pay for this fucking shit show, and it's amazing. First off, we're going to go top of the show, talk about cabalusa.co. And now I always say it, that's not to be confused with .com. It's cabalusa.co. You can go to his website for all of the right gear, because you need to have the right gear. And everything on his website, he's got all types of swagger on there. Anything from hats to mugs to t-shirts to hoodies. And the number one thing on the website that everybody needs is a holster. So for your firearm, he's got some badass motherfucking gear right there. So you can carry your holster on the outside of the waistband and on the inside of the waistband. There's a few different models on there. The beloved Glock 19 holster that he has out there is amazing. Everybody likes that gun, and there's a lot of people that do carry it. So he's got some pretty good gear on there for that as well. So make sure you go on his website and check out the holsters. They're pretty awesome.
We're going to do an audio check on the holster real quick.
All right, here's a little audio check. Here's the retention. Ooh, did you hear that solid retention? That was amazing. That sounded like an eargasm.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty good.
I'm sold.
So anyway, go ahead and check out his gear. But here's the greatest thing about this right now is just for listening to our podcast, you can actually go onto his website, order a whole cart full of stuff. You can get 3 hats, 4 t-shirts, and 3 holsters, and a coffee mug for your morning coffee. Put it into your cart and type in the promo code Covert Standard, and you will get, what is it? 20% off your entire order right now.
20%.
20 fucking percent off. A lot.
Yeah, that's going to be only for the shortest month of the year. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, he had to pick the one with the fewest amount of days to do it. He didn't have to endure this for too long. But if you type in Covert, if you type in Covert Standard into his promo code area, you will get 20% off your entire order. It ships directly to your house, and it is awesome. But it's only for the month of February, folks, so make sure you get it in there. Tell your friends. Let's go ahead and empty his inventory. Make sure that he doesn't make as much money as he can by doing it all in this month. So go ahead and tell your friends. Share this information. Go. Now, also, what's up, man?
Since it's in Valentine's Day coming up, that's a great time to buy your guy or husband or boyfriend a holster. Anybody's going to want one of those.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's a great time.
That's a good point, man.
I'd rather have that than a pair of Fruit of the Loom underwear. I would just definitely rather have a holster.
Yeah, or a socks.
In fact, I'm going to probably tell my wife that I want a holster. Because if not, I'm going to get fucking Fruit of the Loom underwear. And
if you don't tell her you're going to get a holster, you're going to get some Fruit of the Loom.
I'm going to either get my man beater t-shirts. My man beaters. Or I'm going to definitely get a pack of Fruit of the Loom underwear. So I'd rather have her contact Dave or go to the website and get myself.
At least you have some fresh underwear, bro.
I need it.
I'm just saying, at least you got fresh underwear.
How crazy is that?
When you're married and have 2 kids, you need fresh underwear.
You need fresh underwear.
Not only that, like, you start appreciating things in life, like underwear and actual socks.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, there is nothing. I don't know if there's a feeling like when you have your underwear for years and years, you wash them for months and months. there's nothing like putting on a brand new pair of underwear. I don't know about you guys, but I just feel that way.
No, I agree. I can agree to that. I mean, underwear is a very important thing.
So you're telling me that I got to start looking into underwear market?
I mean, it's not like, when I was growing up, now, you're so naive when you're a kid. You see your dad walk in and he's like balls in the air walking around the house. I'm like, Dad, put some underwear on.
I don't know if right now is a good time to talk about the daddy issues and the balls in the air and everything.
Well,
there we go.
I was about to say, thank God I didn't go through that.
I don't remember a day that I had to worry about that either.
You're telling me that neither one of you two, when you were growing up, you've never seen your parents, or not your parents, but your dad one day come out of the bathroom naked?
Nope.
Really?
Yep.
No.
Well, they take a shower. You're young. You're in the room.
Maybe, but I was like, I don't know why we're talking about your dad's stuff. Anyway, so speaking of
traumatic events,
he's like, when I was 3 years old, anyway, so speaking of Fruit of the Loom underwear, in case you guys wanted to print fat ass on the back of your underwear, you can go to IVieewmarketing.com and get that printed on that underwear for you if you want that.
I'll print that, but I will not print a picture of anybody with their balls out.
So that is Eyeviewmarketing.com. That's Miguel's company right here. He is the one-stop shop for all print management services, everything with ink and more. So go ahead and stop by his website if you guys want some business cards. He even makes targets if you want to get some targets made for there. He's also got T-shirts and all kinds of things he'll make for that. And he does big corporate accounts. If you need anything for your business printed out, he'll do it on Eyeviewmarketing.com. So
is there a minimum order on that, to be honest?
No,
let's put it out there.
We're a full commercial printing company, but we do small orders for small companies. In fact, we encourage small companies. We like to help them out. We like to brand. We like to help out anybody starting out.
Good.
So you can go from small to big.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
So a special occasion I want to go ahead and give a shout out to real quick on the mic. For those of you diehard listeners out there of Covert Standard, you guys know that there was an episode out there that we dedicated for Ronan, hashtag Forever Ronan. And Ronan was the first child from our good friend Hef that we had on the podcast on one of the episodes, and they just had their beautiful baby girl. Her name's Kara. She was born. She's nice and healthy. She looks absolutely gorgeous, and they they're awesome, man. I mean, we went to the hospital. Me and Dave. We went to the hospital. Dave,
what a trip.
Poor Dave. Dave did not get any sleep the night before, and I kind of feel bad for him, but I don't really feel bad for him. I just want to say that.
I want to say, like, I went through almost the same traumatic experience as far as like almost any new father, not sleeping for that whole day, but me just going to work.
See,
I fucking hate it.
Me and Dave live really close to each other, and he actually was like, "Hey, man, can you drive?" He never asked me to drive like that. He was like, "Dude, I can't, man. I'm so tired."
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna fall asleep on the wheel. Like it was a dangerous moment.
Yeah. So we ended up driving up to the hospital. The first thing that was pretty funny when we arrived there was, okay, everybody that knows us on this show knows that we're really big into EDC, right? We carry firearms.
Everyday carry.
Mm-hmm. Everyday. Dude, everybody,
I got you.
Everybody knows this.
Hey,
everybody knows
we got
this.
new listeners from Colombia. Come on, man.
Yeah, you're right. EDC.
Beautiful. I like that.
Pretty good.
That's good.
So our everyday carry, we carry guns, knives, stuff like that because we are, proud supporters of the Second Amendment here in the United States. And we park the truck, right? We get out of the truck, and the first question I asked, because I learned my lesson last time, was, "Hey, man, does this place have metal detectors? Do they not allow you to have firearms in the hospital?" And they were like, "Yeah, you're right. You're not allowed to." It's just the thing I had to check on myself. So what do? We locked it away. Cool, no problem. We go down there, and we're not even thinking about anything else but the gun. The gun in our head, we think.
I know where you're going with this.
We think that the gun is probably the most dangerous thing that everybody, whatever reason, everybody thinks about. No. It's the scariest thing that's in my pocket is going to be that gun. So we walked down to the hospital. The first one we went through
emergency.
We went through the emergency by accident. No. It was the hospital across the way.
Yeah, the emergency. Yeah, that's the emergency side. So, and all it was just a metal detector. So we just took everything out of the pockets. We had everything in there. The guy looked at everything. He's like, "Oh, you guys are good. All right, go in." We get to the front desk. They're like, "Oh, you guys are at the wrong hospital. You guys got to go across the street."
And I just made myself look like an ass because I was like, "Dude, I've been here for plenty of babies." And she was like,
"Yeah, oh my god."
She looked at me. She and she was like, "Well, you're looking for the hospital across the way." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I knew that. We came here last time though." But yeah,
is this the one in downtown?
Winnie Palmer.
Yeah. My son. Yeah. That's where my sons were born.
So you
all ended up at the emergency room at
Yes. Yeah. So we walked across the street. Had already went through to we already went through security, and then we had to leave security. We went to the new building, the building across the street. We got to the building across the street, and they had the same security setup. They have a metal detector and everything. We take everything out of our pockets, and I'm the first one to go through. Now, every time I walk through a metal detector, I have my hands up. No reason. I just put my hands up because if they're about to wand me, it just seems like it's one more step that I don't have to worry about. So I walk through, and I beep usually. But right before I walk through, actually, he looks at my keychain. Now, on my keychain, I've got a little Boba Fett, little Lego Boba Fett. I've got like a Glock tag that just says Glock on it, and I've got keys on it, and then I have a Leatherman. It's a little small, tiny.
It's like not even an inch.
It's not even an inch. It's got scissors in it and like tweezers. It's got scissors and a tweezer. I don't know, something like that. And he picks it up, and then he like looks at me with this stare like I'm a fucking terrorist.
For that little Leatherman.
For that little Leatherman. And then then I don't say anything. I have my hands up, right? Because I'm about ready to walk through the fucking metal detector. And I look at him, and we had like this staring contest for like 3 seconds.
He's like,
and he just goes,
What does this guy do?
Like in his mind, he's like, And I could only imagine what the fucking hum was for. Like, this guy's going to kill people with his little fucking scissors. Like, this guy's a flight risk. Or, like, what the fuck? Like, he literally gave me that like, you're guilty. And listen, I'm brown with tattoos, so you already get judged right there because tattoos, for whatever, scare people.
Ah, shut the fuck up.
And
keep it going.
Except for Dave's tattoos, they don't scare anybody. And and so we're at security. He looks at me, we lock eyes, and then he goes, "All right, you can go." So as soon as I go through, Dave,
what does Dave do?
Dave has like a Bowie knife in his back pocket.
Dave goes to security, and he drops the blade into the bin. And I just went through security. I grabbed my stuff, and he looks at the knife, and he just goes, no, this is not going through. I cannot allow this. And Dave's like, well, can I just leave it here with you? No, you can't, sir. And the way he's talking to him,
actually, you really can. They should have a locker to hold that.
No, they didn't have a locker.
Yeah. Really?
So he said you can put it in your car, and then you can come back. So we were going to go out to the car. Dave had the brilliant idea of talking to the valet car drivers, which they're cool people. He's like, hey, man, can I just leave my knife with you guys? I'm ready to leave it behind a bush because I don't give a fuck.
He's trying to find a bush.
But you guys just know that there's cameras throughout that whole hospital.
I don't give a fuck.
So they're probably like, I got 2 tattoo guys conspiring to hide a knife. And they're going to slash the emergency room.
Well, I do that when I go to like Disney or like if I go to like Universal, like and I forget that I have it in my pocket.
You're in the video world now. There's video cameras everywhere.
Sure. But I mean, like, okay, whatever. I still get away with it. So like, so I forget that I have a pocket knife. It's not dangerous, man. It's just a freaking utility. And I forget that I have it, but you know how long the walk is from parking lot to the freaking. So you don't want to do that. So what I do is I go like to City Walk area and I'll drop the knife behind a bush and bury it, and then I'll come get it when I leave.
You dick.
Bury it.
You dick.
I do it a lot actually.
Unbelievable. Why wouldn't you just leave it in your car?
Okay, if it's my gun, I will.
It's like one of those things.
For God forbid, you don't want to bury the gun.
Exactly. Well, I mean, the guns I carry, you can bury.
So do not do that.
Don't
bury
the gun.
I can just see security. What are you doing, sir? Burying my gun.
Yeah, you guys won't let me through this gun. Duh, that's why.
I don't want to go back to my car.
Yeah, do you guys ever walk back to your car before? Like, do you see how long this walk is?
Probably some of them would actually agree with you. That is a long walk because that hospital, the parking garage, depending what parking garage you're in, it's a long walk.
Yeah,
and it's frustrating. I went to a hospital where my father-in-law was admitted for the ER, and this happened to be in Longwood. So I had my Benchmade knife in my front pocket, and when I got there, he was a very, very kosher security guard. He looks, listen, we have detained lockers here. I'm going to take your knife. I'm going to store it in the locker. When you come out, we'll give you back your knife. Very nice guy.
Excellent customer service.
It was just great because, you're in the ER, you got people, you're in a rush, and you imagine, your dad's having or your father-in-law's having a cardiac arrest. You need to go back to your car and take that knife. You know how rude that is?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. If I had like an AR-15, I'd say, okay, buddy, I'm gonna take it back to my truck. But
Miguel, why are you walking into a hospital with an AR-15? What is going on right now?
I'm just
saying,
an example. I'm making an example.
Yeah, so I mean, if it was my tank, I would drive that bitch back to the fucking parking lot before I go through. I wouldn't go through this.
What I'm trying to set as an example that this security guard,
I get it.
They had better protocols. And here's the funny thing: is the 2 hospitals that you guys went to is the same chain of the one in Longwood.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised why you're saying that they don't have those same security measures because it is. Now, I get it. if everybody was walking in like Fred with a knife.
Okay, first of all, he had the bigger knife in his pocket. Why are you calling my name out when Dave came through with a bigger knife?
And he came in with Rambo knife. So at the end of the day, you would think they would have the same parameters. But imagine if everybody was walking in with a knife all the time.
I get it.
They'd have a lot of lockers.
I get it.
Absolutely.
And you guys are not in the greatest part of town either. You're in downtown.
I'm not hating on it. I understand the reasoning of it. I'm more mad because of myself forgetting. I'm just like, shit.
And you're very intimidating looking too. You know, you just came out of like the Mongol bike gang.
So the Mongols have a bike gang?
You look like a Mongolian.
Yeah.
You look like a Mongolian.
Mongolian.
Actually more like a Moroccan Buddha.
Moroccan Buddha. Who the fuck comes up with some shit like that? Moroccan Buddha.
Anyway, all I'm saying is that you're more intimidating. You got all the tattoos. You probably had them all exposed when you were there, and they've seen that.
I mean, I have tattoos on the...
The only thing that makes you look civilized when I see is like you have those little horn-rimmed glasses you have on, so you look more civilized.
But you trying to hit on me right now?
No.
Are you hitting on me?
Actually, I'm hitting on your chin.
Are you hitting on me right now?
That's smooth chin.
That's so flattering of you, Miguel. I appreciate it. So,
excuse me.
So we go through security. We finally we gave the valet our knives. And my little tiny Leatherman and Dave's Rambo knife.
The guy looked at him.
Yeah, he looks at me like,
really?
They fucking told you no for this. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's got tweezers and shit on it. Like, I don't get it. I'm gonna fucking tweezer somebody to death. And I'm gonna pluck your eyebrows out, bitch.
For all they know, they could have thought you were MacGyver. You could take a building apart with a screwdriver.
I don't need a fucking knife for that. I'll use my bare hands.
There's scalpels in there. Come on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I could take a scalpel.
Actually, you have a good point because there's more dangerous things in a hospital. I mean, there's e-tanks. Here's even funnier. A guy that walks in with an oxygen tank, that's actually more dangerous than a knife.
Yeah.
If that drops on the ground and that valve snaps, that is a projectile moving like hundreds of miles an hour.
Easy.
So
Easy.
It kind of makes you think who's writing up these security measures. But I just think it comes down to like of other past incidents that happen in other areas, are like, oh, and like the box cutters on the airplanes that were hijacked.
It has to happen, and then they want to prevent that one thing.
Well, you know that in Great Britain now it is illegal to buy a knife.
Correct.
The mayor has now banned knives. After the mayor
we should ban the mayor then.
Well, literally
the mayor
after the attack, after the terrorist attacks in Great Britain, he banned knives. So I'm wondering, how do you buy a cooking knife? What are you going to get, like a plastic
You know what you
knife?
should do? You should write him a letter and tell him to ban terrorists. That's probably the smarter approach.
Have you ever seen the mayor of Great Britain?
I don't give a fuck about him.
You know where he's from?
You think I give a fuck about him?
I mean, I'm not against it, but I'm just telling you, he's literally instituting...
An idiot? Yes.
He's instituting his policies from his prior country into Great Britain.
So communism?
Jesus.
No, it's he's actually from Egypt.
And how the hell... Oh, well,
thank God. But nobody wants to take anything from Egypt.
Holy cow.
Who goes to Egypt and like, hey, I want your fucking pyramid?
I don't know if y'all been to Europe lately, but have you seen what the population is, the type of population that is in Great Britain right now, and even in Germany? I mean, it is definitely not Germans, and it is definitely not it's not Great Brits. It's like, I'm not going to care and say the genre who they are because I'm not going to try to be politically
It's the same in the
correct.
Philippines. You're talking about Islamic extremists. And it's the same thing. We have Assad. I don't remember the fucking name.
You say it, I'm running out of here because I don't think you're one.
Oh, Jesus.
Anyway, we have those same type of organizations in the Philippines as well, and it's really big. And some of them are linked to terrorist cells. They're not all necessarily terrorism, but they're linked. Some of them.
I mean, it all comes down to like what you guys are talking about going into a hospital. I mean, everything, the phobia that we have going on now in this country, everything is phobic.
It is.
Now, here's the funny thing that bothers me. You guys went into a hospital. My son goes to a private school, which I pay a hefty premium.
Yes.
And it is supposed to be, when you pay the kind of money that I pay for a child in private school, you would think there'd be security measures. They have this gate. It's electronic. It's always open. There's no locks like that. There's no electronic locks on the doors. I literally could walk in if one door is held by another kid. So then you see all these other security measures, and you say to yourself, what are we doing here? I personally believe that, the hospital needs to be secure because there's all types of people, but imagine like schools, and that's not going on. So
yeah, but who wants to put more money in schools? I mean, come on, let's face it.
I would definitely pay more taxes to do that.
No shit. All of us would. The whole thing was sarcasm there, Miguel. You got to pick up on it sometime.
I understand. So, I see it on their face.
So the whole point of this is that that's one of the least amount of the budget goes to education. And it's like education just doesn't matter for whatever reason. In my opinion, education is one of the biggest things that matter. Is simply because the education is what brings up our next generation of people.
Correct.
And if we want to continue the greatness of our country, the next generation of people need to be primed for it. And it just seems like the generations are dying down a little bit more when it comes to that sense of pride. And it's not their fault. It's the education system's fault too.
Well, you bring up a good point in talking to both you two, which are veterans, correct?
Yes.
You both are veterans, and I am not. But I'm a big fan of, the military and what you all do for us. And thank you for what you guys have done.
Thanks for the kind words, man. I appreciate it.
But the thing that really bothers me the most is that when you see all this education for the wrong reasons, why can't we teach children today in schools about what, people have done for this country? Like you guys, a lot of people take that for granted. You see them instilling other things that to me involved past racism. Then instead of teaching the good things, hey, so when you see a soldier, salute them, tell them thank you, those basic things. And my son being in private school, I can tell you right now, I just got a book report that he did. He's 8 years old, and I am by far not even a racist or anything, but they have implemented to him that he had to write an article about Martin Luther King Day. And he wrote a beautiful article about Martin Luther King. My son did. It was really precious what this kid wrote. Made me almost bring to tears. But when I asked my son 2 years ago, my son was 6 in school, he could tell me exactly who was the president of the United States, like verbatim. I asked my son last year who was the president of the United States because in school they teach him this, and my son could not tell me who was the president of the United States.
It doesn't fit their agenda, man.
He could not tell me. I go. My son's name, little Miguel. I go, Miguel, who's the president? I don't know, Poppy. I don't know. But he would tell me 2 years ago that it was President Obama.
Yeah.
I mean, for word, when the guy got in.
You're absolutely right. In the education system, they're teaching what their agenda is teaching, and most people that are in there believe in one way. It's all about the following, right? There's a couple things that go into that. Like, for instance, I am a Republican, okay? And I have friends that are Democrats, right? And I join their circle, and there's 4 Democrats to me, 1 Republican. Well, because their viewpoint is only one way, and I want to fit in with this group of friends, it could eventually change me to becoming a Democrat. That's I'm not saying that's what the problems are. I'm just giving you an example, an extreme.
It's a very good point.
That sometimes it's amongst our peers. We want to be either accepted or cool amongst our peers. It's not necessarily because we want to stand up for our own belief. They think that the belief of the majority is what they should believe. So if the majority says Trump sucks, then I'm part of that group. The majority would probably talk me into thinking that without me free thinking.
What I want to ask you is, Dave, and you can chime in and tell me, and then you can tell me as well, why do people have to be so blind? You just said that you have Democratic friends and that you can. I was giving
you an example.
Right.
I really don't have Democratic friends.
Let's say you did. I do.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was a joke.
I personally do. And here's the thing. I actually am very good friends with a Democratic friend.
Dave's a Democrat.
And we
Jesus. Go ahead.
Just getting silent here for a minute. But I just believe that, when you're having a conversation with a Democratic friend with you and you try to not talk about politics or anything like that, and you're sitting with them, I just wish that we could all speak to each other intelligently. But what I've seen lately, and I'm older now, way older than you guys. Why does everything have to be so blind now? I don't know if you guys really, I try not to watch the news anymore, especially locally.
Yeah.
But on a national level, I watch it. And honestly, from growing up in the 80s and in the late 90s, it's kind of
You're so old.
I know I am old, but I don't look it. But I am older than you guys.
You should grow your hair out.
But you can kiss my ass. I'm not going to grow my hair out. First of all, I don't have the hair that you have.
This lustrous. I don't have lustrous hair.
I don't have that lustrous hair. So I've been shaving my head for over 10 years. And I like my head. Okay. So anyway,
like 20 years, maybe.
No, I haven't been shaving my head for 20 years. Look, why don't you take a swig of that and let me finish talking? So I just want to know why people today, I mean, if I see something that's totally wrong, Republican or Democratic, I'm going to say, hey, it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong. But I see what's being bred now lately, and it's something that bothered me. I try not to talk it around my wife or some of my family members who are extremely Democrat.
Yeah.
And I have to be very cautious of how I say it, but I sit here with you two and we can say, hey, you know what? That guy is wrong. We're not just like literally blindsided by one view. you kind of respect people because what's wrong is wrong and what's right is right.
Correct.
Period. But I don't see that as being taught today. I believe that the generation today, no offense to millennials, I believe there's such a brainwash system right now on how the liberals and the Democrats are being, the way they're expressing themselves on TV. They make it sound like we are just totally like the Antichrist.
The Antichrist. And that's exactly what I was trying to tell you is that there's an influence. It's not their fault. I can't blame them. It's the influences they had growing up, hence the education system. Did you see that one?
Well, it's not only like the influences either. Like it definitely has to do something with the education system because debate classes are not existing anymore. Debate classes was a really big thing when I was growing up. I'm still considered as a millennial. I'm like the late stage of millennials.
We're a special group.
And we are considered, I'm considered a special group, but it's one of those things because I seen what the right is, what the bad is, and I get the chance to actually have a freedom thinking of a type of way. But the issue that we do tend to see is that there's a divide, no matter what. It's this way or that way. It can never be, hey, look, we got to look at it. One side can do bad things and good things. The other side can do bad things and good things at the same time. But it's always a divide, and that's what's being presented at all times. It's always a negativity about one side and never both sides instead of the full story either.
I don't know if when you guys watch anything on television, but I haven't seen since, I don't know if you have, and you all correct me if I'm wrong, since the presidency has occurred, I have never seen maybe one thing positive ever said from the other side about the president. And, when our prior president was in office, I personally, as a devoted Republican, I said, let's give this guy a chance.
Absolutely.
You don't know. This guy can come in and get a fresh breath there. And I know he was handed a wrong deck of cards. And I believed, because this is the greatest country in the world. I believe that we have the finest people in the world in this country. But I don't like what I'm seeing right now. Like in present day, ridicule, I don't like it.
The ridicule and all the bad press that he's been getting, this has been seen before with a similar situation. We've elected into office a person that was not a politician before.
Absolutely.
And he has gotten ridiculed the same exact way because he's not a quote unquote politician. But he was one of the greatest peoples to ever come out.
Sure.
Ronald Reagan.
Yes.
He was one of the
Who was, in fact, a politician.
No, but he was an actor. That was the problem. He was a big time actor.
Absolutely.
And he was ridiculed for that. Yes, okay, political work aside, he was more known as, dude, you're an actor. Why are you a fucking president? Like that's basically what people say.
But
you're
he was
an actor.
also
Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about.
Ronald Reagan was an extremely conservative man.
Yes.
He was very conservative views because I couldn't vote for him. I was still under 18, so I voted for his vice president, George. That was my first president that I got to vote for back in the day in '88. So, at the end of the day, 90, actually, wait a minute, Reagan, what year was last year's Reagan? Reagan went in 80, right after Jimmy Carter, 88 through 92, and then it was George Bush. So I voted for Bush. That was my first president that I voted for. And I just believe that even then, we had a lot of conservative views, but things were changing about. Now what I just see is literally, Fred, it's one side. I mean, it's just
I know, it's so
one
bad.
Side.
But the media is covered by people that believe
we've
in that.
had media forever. We've had CNN. We've had
but media is not the fucking same anymore,
No,
man.
it's not. It's not.
And we've talked about this countless times, right? Me and Dave have talked about this over and over again.
I always bring up, the media always had freedom of the press, but that was supposed to be gathering information for the people to decide and have their own opinions on what's going on.
And it was to keep track of
respect.
It was to keep track of the government for us as well. The media was developed so that way we knew what the government was doing. Now it's so shut out and it's owned by all these by people of power and people of influence.
It all comes down to money. It's all ratings.
Money is a fucking evil, man.
You say something that it's on TV and it's not the right thing to do. Bill will write you. What happened to that poor guy?
And basically, not to interrupt you, by being on a show like this is the voices that people need to hear.
This is exactly,
and this is exactly what it can be compared as a model as a small business. These media outlets like you're providing now help and encourage other people that want to see the good. You will literally talk on this show about the good that there is still left within people. Because when you hear about all the negativity, because honestly, when I listen to the show, there's positive, there's humor, but you try to keep an upbeat and you want to make people happy. But if you listen to the news today, It is extremely depressing.
God, it's so
depression
depressing.
is up 38% in this country.
Yep.
Because you just hear about that. There's negativity, but when they talk about their side, it's just the best thing since sliced bread. And I don't believe in that.
Did you see the State of the Union address?
I actually would like to.
Did you see that?
I watched the whole thing.
I watched that. I watched it too. I actually caught it midway because I was working. But when I got to see it, I was listening to the points he was bringing up. A lot of the things that we were able to accomplish. The heroes. The hero.
Correct.
I'm so sorry for forgetting the names of the people, but he had the
oldest World War II veteran in the State of Union.
Correct. He had two people sitting next to each other. One of them was a soldier that liberated a concentration camp, and one of them was a victim of the concentration camp sitting next to each other.
Correct.
I mean, things like that are amazing. They're fucking magical. They're things that people take for granted. They don't understand the hardship. A lot of people like to take the easy road with these things and think that there's no harm in the world. But the evil, you can't have good without there being fucking evil. And people are forgetting that. And people need to wake the fuck up.
Oh, absolutely. Did you watch a State of Union, Dave?
No, I was actually stuck working.
Well, if you go on YouTube and you hear a couple of tidbits, it's probably the most important State of Union that you'll watch, because honestly, when I watched it, I really enjoyed hearing him talk, but I also was so depressed on the reactions that I see the way people responded to the president of the United States.
It's crazy.
Because granted, I don't agree with everything he does. I'm not blindsided like that, but he is the commander-in-chief of this country. And I believe anybody in that moment, okay, outside of that State of Union, you can protest and complain. But when you walk in those walls of the State of Union, that's Congress, that's everybody.
You agreed.
You got to give somebody goddamn respect.
Yeah.
And I believe
you're supposed to follow your
that's right.
Chief.
If you're in the military, you might not like your staff sergeant or your master sergeant.
But you have to follow.
But during work, you have to respect him and follow orders, because I'm sure you guys, no matter
what. That goes with any job, though.
That's
Absolutely.
any
job.
But I think more on a higher level with the government. I mean, you two are former soldiers.
Let's take it down a little notch. Let's just say, I'll give you to the bare minimum. I wouldn't say this is bare minimum. Let me just say a lower end or an easier job, for instance. Let's just say fast food restaurant.
Okay.
I am the cashier of the fast food restaurant. There is a manager. The manager is the one that's leading that ship.
Correct.
They're the one that's leading that crew to make sure they're successful for the day, which your whole goal is to provide an excellent service to your customer, provide excellent food to the customer, and make sure that everybody's happy when they're coming in and buying things, right? That's what your goal is.
Sure.
The manager's there to keep it all together. Do you think the manager really wants to go so much out of their way to make sure everybody's happy? And they don't care about you or anything like that? You need to understand.
They're like losing me over here. Why are you talking about McDonald's? I want to talk about the State of Union. There was no American flag pins on these ladies.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Dude, don't bring
you are paying attention to that.
What I'm saying is that you have to follow your leader no matter what situation.
Correct.
And
so,
if you were paying attention, I was bouncing off of what you said, Dave.
Oh, I heard McDonald's.
Yeah. So in the State of the Union,
I'm fucking hungry. Where are my wings?
State of the Union address, regardless of State of the Union address, he is the president. He went through every single channel that every single person went through. Every law was followed. Everything was done the way it was supposed to be done. Yes, you're not going to be happy, but that doesn't mean that you're going to fucking shit on him. You need to do this for America, not because of what your personal feelings are.
Granted, Fred, he comes out and says some obtuse things at times.
Sure, he's not perfect.
He's not. He knows that. He's flawed. However, I believe personally, this is only my opinion. You might not agree. I do believe the gentleman and the president, he does love this country.
Of course.
I do really genuinely can stand there and look at him, and I know he loves this country. And for better or worse, he's coming out, and I think the most respectful thing he did that any president has done in the last 20 years is he came out, and the first thing that man honored was veterans. He honored people that fought for this country and liberated this country. And then when you see a lot of people sitting in that State of Union, none of them know anything about war. They don't know anything about soldiering. They don't know. It's like, I hate to say it, I hate bringing up this movie, but A Few Good Men. I've watched the movie. I've watched the movie thousands of times because what Jack Nicholson said in that line, like, you don't have any idea what it is to defend a fucking nation. Yeah. Nobody knows. So I tell you,
I'm on that wall.
I'm not a soldier, but I have the most utmost respect for soldiers because at the end of the day, We sleep at night and we can hit it. We can get in our BMWs or our Jeeps or whatever, or Toyotas, and have the freedom to know that we have people like you guys out there protecting us.
There's people out there that are so oblivious.
And what bothers me, and I that's why I admire the military, is because you guys really go at it. They don't know what you guys really go through. I could never put myself in those shoes. The training, if you have family problems, the military, from what I hear, doesn't care. You're going in to be a soldier, and you're going to be a soldier. You're going to train, and you're going to do this job. And that's how it is. And just like Jack Nicholson, that movie, you either stand aside or man a post or front whatever. He made very good points in that movie. And considering that a liberal wrote that movie, which is Rob Reiner.
Yeah.
And he said it was one of the hardest movies for him to write, but he was compelled to write that movie because it told a lot of the truth of what happens in the United States military. And unfortunately, there's good and bad. Getting back really quick to the State of Union is, I saw so many people from the other party, they would not even clap to this president honoring veterans. Nothing. But then he had the common courtesy to address women, how women have progressed in this. This is the first time ever in 30 years that there are more women in Congress.
Absolutely.
More minorities.
And that was the only time.
Right. And that's the only time that they clapped. And I can go on and on all night about this, but I'm not. But what I'm trying to say is we have to have respect for people. Even if we sometimes don't agree, I don't think he was disrespecting anybody in the State of Union. He just said the truth. The United States will never be a socialist country.
Oh, that was my favorite.
It was the best line
he did. I fucking love that line.
And I can tell you.
It was so good.
And ladies and gentlemen, whoever's listening, I'm Cuban and my parents came here from Cuba. I was born and raised here, but you can't comment if you're a liberal. Listen to me carefully. You can't comment until you actually live in an oppressed country. Yep. You don't know what that is like to live oppressed. You think it's easy. Here you got 7-Eleven, TV, and you got your internet. When you live in an oppressed country and you know that you're not going to have food the next day to eat, and you are going to sit there and claim that, and it's the best way. Socialism, if you really read about it, Marxism and all that, it's totally different. Those countries that you're looking at are totalitarian states. They are dictators, and it just doesn't work.
No, it never has.
It will never work. And then, and then the news media will not show us
the bad side. See, they will never show the bad side.
Never, ever.
The thing that I love about that is that we've talked about this before, where there's people that scream for socialism, people that actually say I want communism, and it's simply because they want the opposing side to be punished because they think that if they vote for it, that they're not going to be harmed.
Well, I would like at that moment for boats to come in planes and pick them up. Let them go there and just stay there for 6 months in a country like that.
They won't fucking last 6 months.
6 months. 95% of these folks hasn't even traveled around the world.
They've never even left. They've never even left the state of wherever they're at.
If they do, the farthest they go is Jamaica and the Bahamas.
On a cruise.
And in Jamaica only shows you a small portion that you're allowed to be in.
Absolutely. And before I walked into this event here tonight that you guys invited me. And by the way, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
and
thanks for
I
showing
appreciate
up.
it. But I wanted to ask you two, as former soldiers, I've asked this to many people. You see a lot of people, and I'm going to just come out and say it. I see a lot of recognition in this country for events that were tragic. Sure. They were tragic, and they were horrible. But I've seen more attention given to certain events of a tragedy, and then even when I go to my Magic games, and then I see, personally me being an NFL season ticket holder, I canceled my tickets because when I started seeing people kneeling to the United States flag, I abolished all my devotion to the NFL. I'm going to be honest. I don't watch it anymore.
I
got rid of it all.
That's freedom. That's the freedom right there.
I just cannot support that. And I got to admire DirecTV because they refunded me all my money because even the owner agreed with that. But what I'm getting at, when was the last time you've actually had, because I know you guys have told people that you've been former, so have you ever had anybody come and say, hey, thanks for doing what you've done. We appreciate it. You don't see that being always said. But you see a lot of more things.
I don't ever want to down talk that at all. I don't go out boasting and bragging.
I'm not saying that.
I know. Let me finish.
I'm saying for you, hold on. If I'm at a party with you, and they know that you're a former Marine, that you're a Marine forever, but you were in, you were in the military.
I get it.
And you too, Dave. Has anybody said, hey, man, they're taking a swig of a beer. Hey, man, I just want to say, I know I don't go out to say it, but thanks again for what you do. You don't see that often.
So what I'm about to say is I don't ever want to downgrade. I don't ever want to downgrade the simple fact that people actually go out of the way and say thank you. That's not what any of us actually.
I understand.
I know, but what I'm saying is that for me to say that I don't hear it enough, I don't know what the limit is when you call, what you would call enough. Do I hear it? Sure. I don't go out boasting and bragging I'm military, so that's probably another reason that they don't know it. But the people that do know it, I hear thank you for your service. And it's amazing to hear. I never want to downgrade those people, and I'm really appreciative of the kind words that people say to us. But, I mean...
But there's a difference, Fred. I'm not saying they have to kiss your ass.
No, I never said that either.
Because when I first met you, I knew you were a Marine, and I believe in one of our conversations, I made a mistake by saying, I think one of the people that are around us wanted to join the Air Force.
Uh-huh.
And I would say, well, they go just as much as trouble as you do as the military. But I was wrong. But either way, they're a service.
Hashtag Fireball Freddy.
But they're a servicemen in the military. So at the end of the day,
I have respect for anybody that serves their country.
Correct. Yeah. But all I'm saying is this: is that if my son's school, he's in a private school, I would just like to see like what President Trump did. How the first thing he did, the very first thing he did, he addressed Congress and he addressed the State of the Union. And the first thing he said is, I would like to thank all the soldiers of men and women that have served and have protected this country. And I think that was so admirable. You don't really see presidents do that anymore.
No, you don't.
Because it's so politically incorrect. And I know he doesn't support a lot of the transgender thing. He's totally against it. He's against that in the military. But I believe if you're a man, woman, or...
Okay, let's break that down for a second. That's one thing I've always wanted to talk about.
That's a really touchy subject.
It's really hard and really touchy, but I'm going to tell you why it's a touchy subject. There are already... this is going to be hard.
All right. Well, I'll kick it off with the Navy. So
okay.
In the Navy, we had the whole don't ask, don't tell. Almost every branch actually had that, and which was great. But you had some of the guys that were parted in a small group that would actually come out and be like, hey, guys, I just want to let you guys know I swing the other way. Bro, we'll still got your fucking back. Don't let that interfere with your fucking job. All right? And that's how most of the military was all about. But the second you want to start using your medical to cover all your transgender needs, I think now you're starting to take advantage of a different point on what you're supposed to be doing. You signed up to do something else.
Right.
Your job was supposed to be doing something else.
And I hope I'm not like overbearing the same topic. All I'm just saying is that I do believe that this country should be more open about saying, hey, we're walking. I'm outside doing what I want to do because of those veterans in the past.
Yeah.
World War I, II, Civil War, everything, you name it. We're here because of them. And being a minority and my parents coming here, my father told me, you should always wake up every morning, and I get chills saying this, every morning wake up and thank God that you live in the United States. And thank that you got the privilege to come to this country, work, be whatever you want to do, get whatever you want to get if you really want it. And I believe in that American dream.
Absolutely.
Sure.
But if we keep going the way we're going and what I'm seeing, we're going right now, the way we have stained so many minds, I think it's going to take 20 years to recover.
I think there was something that we read. We actually brought it up before. Dylan is actually one that brought this up. That it takes a certain period of time to either diminish something or to improve something. It can't happen overnight. It takes like 10 to 15 years for anything to either go positive or go negative. It takes that much long time.
For example, George W. Bush Jr., W. Bush, he put aside the money for the Border Patrol, like not Border Patrol, but just the border. So it's that was supposed to be $50 billion, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. And yet no one can really account where the fuck that money went.
Yeah.
And that was during his administration right before Obama.
Absolutely.
And no one knows where the fuck it happened. We're asking for $5 billion for something.
And if you look on public record, President Trump was opposed to the Iraq war. He literally said it was a farce. Not the first one, the second one. He opposed it. He said, this is a farce. We're going to put a lot of innocent soldiers, waste all these billions of dollars. We're going to unravel a country. He thinks that they should have left them alone and let them do what they want. They weren't.
But America was not going to be happy until they saw blood.
Well, it wasn't only America. It was here's what I don't understand, and you guys educate me on this. So when a terrible tragedy happens in the United States, we want, what did you just say, Fred? Blood.
Yep.
They want somebody to be accountable. So my question is, when we start that process, you just don't go and start a war somewhere and say it's going to, we're going to just unplug it in a month. You're literally, it's a huge undertaking.
Absolutely.
And it takes years to do that. I don't know how long it takes, but when you pull out of a war, I think it takes minimum 5 years.
Yeah, just because of logistics.
The logistics.
That's all it comes down to.
So now you're wanting us to commit, and then they say, bring the soldiers home. I get it, but it's not that easy. We're still got troops in Afghanistan.
Absolutely.
And they can't bring them back yet because there is a hornet nest over there. So again, to end my segment as far as what I think is, I believe that, we concentrate on a lot of negative energy in this country, and I wish we could just concentrate on a little bit more positive, especially to the youth. Forget us.
I don't remember the last time I heard like a legitimate positive thing happening.
I can tell you right now.
What's up?
Stock market is going up. Come on, guys.
Oh, yeah,
shit.
Absolutely.
I'm fucking making money overnight.
Yeah,
I just showed
agree.
Freddie while we're at the bar. I'm like, bro, check this shit out.
But they won't publicize that.
Of course
not.
They will not say that.
But
because
the rich are the ones that are actually making money off of that. The ones that are getting paid by the tax money. They're like, we got senators making millions. Come on, guys.
Both parties.
I've said this before.
Both parties.
You should not be in government office, period, if you're making anything over $1 million.
You should be doing what the referees are doing today. There are doctors, they do refereeing on the side because it's a hobby. It should be something that they love. They love their country. All right, they want to do their time.
Yes.
All right, make maybe 6 figures. But goddamn, dude,
billionaires should not be in
millions
Congress.
of dollars.
Well,
that is
billionaires should not be.
Then our president shouldn't be president. Then
I agree. Nope, I've said that too. I have to take both sides of the road.
But remember, this is the only president in the history of our nation did not take a salary, donate all his money to charity.
Correct.
He does.
He did.
He doesn't take a penny.
I know that.
And he's the only one. Now, let me tell you, prior president came in with $3 million. He walked out of the White House with $80 million.
Sure.
That's a lot of coin to make in 8 years.
In 8 years.
In 8 years.
How
So how do you do that?
Corrupt motherfucker.
People still want to know how you do that. Well, you're making side deals.
It's easy. Fuck
You're
them.
doing things.
You would fuck the American people. That's what you do.
You got a president that comes in here. Sure, he is loaded. $3.1 billion is his worth right now. He's definitely up there.
That's his money.
It's his money. And here's the thing. He came in. He's running this country like a bank. He did. And if you listen to his policy when he first got elected, I'm going to do 5 things. And he's done 4 of them. His last thing right now is that wall. Everybody was...
I do want to pinch in on that.
Go ahead.
He did want to actually bring metal work back to the United States.
Yes, he wanted to bring it back.
But in order to have metal work, you need different type of energy sources to melt that metal.
Right.
So there's an EPA standard that's actually cutting them off, which by all means, it is a health issue.
But they shut down 2 smoldering plants in Pennsylvania.
Correct.
That actually built all the metal in this country, because if you bought anything in the old days,
all the metal came from there. Yeah.
Everything came from Pennsylvania steel, but they shut it down. Why? Corporate greed. Go to China, go overseas, and I get it. Can the Chinese build decent stuff and they do it cheaper? We're all victims of it. They do. Even paper that I have to order for my company comes from China, or believe it or not, it comes from Romania.
Yeah,
because all paper mills now in the United States are gone.
Well, we're not cutting down trees and
from the Philippines
anymore.
to sell you, bro.
Yeah,
I got some paper. I got some paper from the Philippines to sell you.
Yeah,
bro.
let me see that company.
Handmade paper. You can order 1 sheet at a time.
No kidding.
I got you, bro.
Oh,
I got
that
you.
kind of paper, huh?
Yeah, they make all types of paper.
So there's no minimum order. It's going to be a maximum order.
Maximum of 5. You can't go over 5.
Is that the real flammable type paper?
Yeah, it's made out of hemp.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, that was illegal in the United States.
Didn't you go on a shooting little adventure recently?
I did.
Yeah, you were shooting thermal optics, right?
I did.
So it was like what, low light or no light?
Thermal
was
optic.
Definitely pitch black.
So I'm used to NVG, night vision. I've used the night vision capability.
Garbage stuff. I hate night vision.
I've never used thermal or ever had experience with thermal in the military. It was always out of the military when I did. What did you think?
Let me enlighten you. I viewed both, and I've never done anything like that, and I'm by anywhere near the kind of experience that you all have with, firearms and shooting tactically like that. I go to the range and I shoot and I can hold my own, but I cannot ever imagine doing something like that. So when I went there, I was looking through a Trijicon Reap.
Okay.
Thermal. And this thing
I've
was
seen
like,
those things are so sick.
And I can tell you now that I could literally see the spit coming out of a person's mouth while they're talking from 200 yards away.
You know what that means? I can see your fart, Freddie.
Yeah.
Well, I can fuck you up.
This thing was so sensitive to heat, Fred,
He's over
that
there dying.
I saw a car literally 30...
First of all, we all know who has the asshole in this group. Hold on. I'm choking.
Are you?
I was taking a shot when he said that.
Oh, I thought your asshole was choking.
Dave,
Sorry.
we all know that you're the gas passer in this group.
No, it's Grandpa.
Well, actually, you're right.
Who's grandpa?
Huh?
Who's grandpa?
It's not my grandpa. Is it your grandpa?
No.
No, it's Dylan's. It's Dylan's grandpa. Dylan's grandpa
Dylan's
farts all the
grandpa.
time. He likes to get under the table and start farting.
Wow.
No, it's an actual dog.
His
It's a
dog's
four-legged
name is
animal.
Grandpa, so we love doing that on the
It's
podcast.
awesome.
We're all like, "Grandpa, you smell like shit," and it's really Grandpa. It's the funniest thing ever. But anyway, so
Sorry.
shooting through.
So
Have you ever done anything like that other than
Never.
Have you
Never.
ever shot out of an optic period? And what?
Absolutely.
So red dots
EOTech.
and EOTech. So, but you've never showed like something that has an actual filter in it, something that
Absolutely
that
not.
does light or bends light. Okay.
And it was very impressive. We were shooting from 110 yards, 200 yards.
What?
And
That's
Respectable.
dope.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And
Hell yeah.
I have to say, when I shot through it,
It's not 500.
I was hitting the 110 mark, and I give you my word of God, I hit all of them. But when we tried to hit the 200 yard, the sight was not zeroed in.
Ooh,
So none of us could actually hit it. But
They didn't have you guys zero at 100 yards?
well, it just, I think the way the grainage of the bullet was, the gentleman that was there told us it's off. But in a quick note, I've never done anything so physical like that, carrying an AR-15, because there was a thermal shoot running.
Did they have you zero your own weapon at 100 yards?
No, they had
That's
it all
the
set
problem.
up.
It had nothing to do with the grain.
No.
It had everything to do with it. You had to zero it to your body, to your eye.
Correct.
Under that optic.
Correct.
No, keep going. So
Basically, well, just to enlighten you, and it goes back again to this whole soldiering thing. So a group of us were doing a run and shoot, and we were being trained by qualified people to walk through pitch darkness in the woods, and there were set up targets with heat things that would be picked up.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question. How did you guys see the targets?
I got to tell you, when I did that, and thank God I've gotten into a little bit of better shape. I was huffing and puffing. So during that whole thing, all I could think about is, I was nervous. I got an AR in my hand. I'm shooting targets in the dark. I'm thinking, God, what would it be like for a soldier to be under battle? Bullets flying, bombs going off, people in other areas that are sniping you. Because let me tell you, with that scope, I could literally take a hair off an elephant's ass from 200 yards. I'm not kidding you.
if it isn't zeroed, motherfucker.
But at least he's got eyes on it. Can you imagine?
I can see the hair on it.
The scariest part about this is that I could see literally a vehicle that was like 100 yards away, and I could see the engine heat going through that.
I don't know if you've ever looked at 100 yards, but I can probably see a vehicle at 100 yards too.
No,
but not in pitch black.
Not
man.
in pitch black with
you
a heat signature of a motor.
You acting over here.
He's like at 100 yards, I can see a car. I'm like, yeah, I can see a car at 100 yards too.
I took you to the ranch, and you couldn't see a fucking tree in front of us.
Yeah.
What tree?
But I can assure
the
you,
one that we hit.
You guys hit
we
a tree?
hit a tree?
Yeah.
What, are you sure that was me?
Well, I was driving.
You
You didn't say anything.
There was the time that we almost flew out because you hit a pothole. I didn't see the pothole, but I did not see a tree. Did we hit a tree?
Yeah,
Was I that drunk that I don't remember the fucking tree?
It seems like it now. I look like an asshole on this. But yeah.
Or it wasn't me.
But to answer
You
your
don't have
question,
that many brown friends, so it could only be so many people.
To answer your question, it was a very intense thing. It only lasted 15 minutes running, but I was mentally and physically
That's
exhausted.
usually how long I last to. About 15 minutes and then
Yeah,
I'm
but
done.
you obviously have a lot of training.
Well, no, it's because she's really good.
Pardon me?
It's because she's really good. That's why it only takes me 15 minutes.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Wow. Wow, wait a minute. Ladies and gentlemen,
that just happened.
I think somebody's
That
head is
just
so swelled, so big right now. We're gonna have to butter it to get it to the door.
Yeah.
So
real.
anyway, I mean, you had fun then. I'm guessing it was
I
good
did.
for you. Yeah.
It was a really good feeling, but it made me appreciate more again of what the psyche of doing something like that is. So
Shit.
That was all in my mind in the last week of doing this event and talking about the State of Union and respect and what people do for this country.
Yeah, we definitely got to look. Going back to all the topics, like we got to definitely look back on this is a world leader. We got to respect it. Like,
You
look,
do.
we didn't. If you won for whatever sakes, you're listening to this podcast. You didn't vote for the guy. It's okay. It's okay. That's why there's a voting process. Let the time go by, but there's great things happening. Like I said, the stock market has risen tremendously compared to the last.
You ready for this?
8
You ready
years.
for this? His loss will become your loss on a greater scale.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't support him, his loss becomes your loss. Meaning, whether you like him or not, you have to respect democracy. That's what our country. We are a republic.
Beautiful.
That is what our country is based off of, and his loss becomes your loss. If he ends up, you don't support him, and because your support breaks it, and he ends up failing, it will trickle down and it will affect you.
If you
so
fail,
you need to. It doesn't matter if he's blue, red, pink, purple. I don't give a fuck what they are.
But you stated that you did watch the State of Union, right?
Half of it. The second half of it.
Did you see? I could name just a couple, but did you see certain people that are in the Senate, how disrespectful they were to that president?
Yeah, man. The whole white, what is that fucking white
because
fucking
it's
wearing?
showing the women that are in Congress. But
was that what it was?
I'll mention
none of
one
them were.
name.
None of them were.
Wasn't that a Cuban movement? The women in white, or was that?
I think so. Actually, you're right.
That was a Cuban movement where the women in
kind
white.
of sucks because I don't want that to be. I mean, that's fine, but the way they're moving,
I
moving like shit.
I did not like the fact that they were represent women. Fine, I'm all about it.
Me too. 100%.
I'm all about it.
Yes,
but none of them, not one of them, wore an American flag pin.
No. Yeah. And then the worst one that really
shit
bothered
pissed me off.
being Hispanic and all, but I was very disgusted the way, and God forbid if I get shamed for this, but the way Ocasio-Cortez disrespected that president.
Isn't that young
28-year-old that was voted in Senate in New York?
She is
this
such
girl was
an
smoking
idiot.
pot and doing dance videos on rooftops 2 years ago. You can see them on YouTube.
Yep.
That's fine. God bless her. She found a way to get in there. She literally got into the Senate. So
she played into the people that...
She knew what she was doing, so no problem. I'm all for people that want to get into power, but the way she eloquently speaks, and then there's no...
Eloquent? That's a good word.
Sorry.
That's a good word.
All right. Well, there's no substance to back up her claims. Like she says, free education, free health care, all this.
You know what I think?
Nothing is free.
I think we have to have free houses.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Yeah.
Free houses.
It's going to be 900 square feet.
But when they ask her the
I hope
question...
everybody's okay with that.
But when they ask her the question, they're like, I think...
that's the land. That's not the house. The house is like 300 square feet.
I think Glenn Beck asked her, he goes, okay, Mrs. Cortez, you make great points. We've heard this over years. Who's going to pay for it? That's a good question. And that's how she responds.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
She kept going on, and then she kept saying some other bullshit.
And let me tell you, she is a master at convoluting words. Like, she will throw you
because she makes up words.
It's unbelievable. I mean, she really reminds me of
anybody could be a master if you make it up.
Like, when Fidel Castro would speak, my dad would tell me, that son of a bitch can make you look like a model. He can say, I don't care what you say, but Fred is a model.
Well,
He's the best looking.
I am.
Keep it going.
No,
but he would say
Fred.
He would say Fred is the best looking guy in the world. I don't care what you all think. Don't look at your husbands. Look at Fred.
I'm a pretty sexy
and
motherfucker.
And that's what Fidel Castro would do. He would indoctrinate that policy into people's heads, and that means everybody that they would see Fred want to fuck Fred.
I mean, that's how it works. I mean, that's exactly how this is. That's how,
thank God.
Thank you, Fidel. Thank you, Fidel Castro.
Wait. Thank God I live in the United States of America.
Thank you, Fidel,
and I don't
for getting me
have to
laid.
fuck Fred.
Thank you, Fidel, for getting me laid. Just saying.
Thank God. Because if we were living like that,
you know how evil this motherfucker is. This guy, I heard stories that this guy would go into a fucking classroom, right, with kids, and he would say, "If you believe in God, then God will give you ice cream right now. Where's the ice cream? Now everybody close their eyes. If you believe in me, you will have ice cream right now."
Exactly
and he would put fucking ice cream on their desk and make kids go,
but that's how it starts.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
how it
fucking
starts.
brainwashing.
You brainwash little kids, man.
I'll let that motherfucker eat a fucking piece of lead in a second.
What's happening now? The internet is brainwashing kids. That's what happens, believe it or not. It's in kids' genre.
We discussed this so many times. The echo chamber effect, the agenda push when it comes to electronics. You don't know what your kid is actually fucking watching.
Look, I just say leave this country alone. It's worked for 200 and some years. The guys that the four founding fathers that wrote the Constitution of the United States, it was something I think actually God put that in their head because that was brilliantly written.
Look at the Federalist Papers. It's a book that was basically written off of these letters from our forefathers from the past that explain what their reasoning is to writing the Constitution and basically all of our documents. And it basically they knew the way they wrote our documents. They knew that there was bad people then there's going to be bad people in the future.
Absolutely.
And they knew that. And that's what our Constitution protects us from it.
A lot of it actually was based off of what happened in, I don't want to say England, but I think it was in that area, the British. So during that whole time, they actually based all this documentation off of that, and then they took out
the bad stuff.
The bad shit.
They did.
And that's what left us with the Constitution.
Well, you know that the Redcoats, I mean, they didn't play any games. When England came and took over the United States, I mean, they were trying to make it like another New England.
Exactly. It's an extension to them.
And these guys were like us, the silent majority, they rebelled and said, hey, we can't do this.
We basically said, fuck you, this is what we want to do.
And remember what Adolf Hitler said in 1939, the best way to run a country is you need to disarm it.
Nobody gives a shit about Adolf Hitler. You need to disarm it.
So I understand, but that's what he said. You have, in order to manage a country, you need to disarm it. That's what Fidel did. That's what all communist countries do. And if we leave the way things are going,
you have to break the will of the people.
If we disarm this country, which I can tell you that will never happen, I know as long as I'm living it right now, but if we did, you can imagine, I mean, when you disarm a nation, we're helpless. You got a military, a totalitarian
Some
state.
people don't give a fuck about that, though. Some people like to be babied and coddled.
No. I don't believe
the people that are fighting against guns right now, they have a complete understanding that they know.
I want to tell you, I want to say maybe 60, maybe 70% of entrepreneurs that actually have companies do not believe in leaving all that fucking responsibility with the government.
Absolutely. I know. As a business owner, I don't.
Exactly.
There's no fucking way in hell I want that to happen.
Could you imagine if the government...
I want people that work for me to prosper. If they come up to me and say... Miguel, I came up with a new idea. I'm going to move on with my own thing. Even if it affects me, if he goes, I'm going to do my own printing company. Okay, God bless you. I hope you, if you want to bring ill will to me, then I believe in karma. But you know what? That is what this country's about.
Amen.
People
hashtag Buddhism.
Yeah, you got to definitely say, go out and live your dream. Look at you. You're making holsters now. There's a lot of holster companies, but yours are going to be unique. You make them with pride. That's how I look at that. I'm a small printer, but I try to give people a one-on-one service. I try to do my things differently. Are there a lot of printers out there? There's millions of them. But that's what keeps this country great. And I believe it. The small entities is what fuels this country. These big corporations that are controlled by the government, electric company, it doesn't work. It just never has. So this is what President Trump is trying to say. Hey, just let all these companies flourish. And they'll pump more money into the economy. And they do. And they do.
Exactly.
Like, shit, look what happened in the housing market. Like, I was able to buy a house.
Absolutely.
And I got an interest rate at 3.25.
Yeah.
This is like personal information, but shit, this is fucking unreal.
Yeah, 18%. 18%. Yeah, it's so much more now.
Yeah, if that's the case, come on, bro. You would not be in this
the housing market is pretty good. I bought it at a pretty good rate, too.
That's just chin talking.
The chin got involved.
The chin talk. Hashtag chin talk.
I must say that Fred does have a really pretty chin. He's got
it's amazing.
Beautiful hair on his chin, too.
Yo, stop hitting on me, Miguel. Yeah. Okay, stop. This is an audio show. Nobody else needs to hear but you hitting on me, okay? That's how this works. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we have had another successful night here on the Covert Standard talking about all types of stuff, man. Miguel, thank you very much for joining us on the show, man. It's been awesome having you out here.
I really enjoyed it.
Make sure you guys check out his company, IVieWmarketing.com, for your print management services. So we got Miguel, Mimoto36 is his Instagram handle. Of course, Cabal from CabalUSA.co. Go ahead and pick up those holsters. He's got some. And don't forget that he's only allowing it right now for the 20% off till the end of February. So don't forget about that. Covert Standard. All right. So make sure you check it out. And his Instagram handle is CabalUSA. Make sure you go ahead and handle him. Make sure you go ahead and handle him.
I think the chin comment got you excited.
And then
a little bit.
I am the Nitro Panda. You can follow me on all social media platforms at the Nitro Panda. And then also please follow Covert Standard on all social media platforms. I just made it up. And I have a website dropping soon. So hopefully whenever that website does drop, you'll be able to check it out. Okay. And I just
want to say to everybody out there, God bless America.
God bless America. All right. Everybody stay tight, stay hungry, and stay humble. I love you guys. Covert Standard.